Well, that was an hour I'm never getting back in my life. EA press conferences are kind of an interesting thing to me because every year I see the exact same format, and every year I think that they're finally going to change that or do something a little different, and it never happens every single time. I mean, this year was pretty much, there was not a single new game announced. They talked about one new indie game they're working with called FIFA, which does look pretty interesting and cool, but that was the only real new game they talked about. And then outside of that, it was really just talking about games we already know about, and even then didn't give us a lot of hard info. It was a lot of very heavily edited gameplay trailers that were very quick and just gave us very bare bones information. We didn't get any in-depth looks at gameplay at all. They spent a solid 60% of that press conference talking just about Madden and FIFA, and basically just threw what little scraps they could to us for Titanfall 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, and even Battlefield 1. And I understand the logic behind this a little bit. I mean, after they do this press conference, they're focusing on just showing straight up gameplay for Battlefield 1, and they're going to be hosting their EA Play event where people can actually go to the show floor and try out Titanfall 2, Battlefield 1, FIFA and Madden. But that still doesn't feel like a great excuse to me for your main press conference, the main thing that most people's eyes are on, and just don't really show us anything. And that's not entirely fair. They did show some new info. I mean, we got 2 new trailers for Titanfall 2, one of which was leaked a little early that confirmed that the single-player campaign is a thing that's happening, and a multiplayer trailer that showed us more actual gameplay, including the fact that grappling hooks are going to be in the game, which is awesome. Mass Effect Andromeda? Not a whole lot, really. It was a combination of behind-the-scenes interviews and kind of just general hype filled for the game, without really giving us any hard info about it at all. And then Battlefield 1, once again, lots of hype talk, but still no actual gameplay because they're going to show us that during the EA Play event afterwards. It just seemed like there really wasn't any actual new information. Except for the fact that FIFA is getting a story mode. As I said earlier, Titanfall has a single-player mode, and they're working on another indie-focused game, which is FIFA. That's pretty much it. The one that especially boggled me really was the Star Wars announcements, because they played the Star Wars theme and built up all this hype for it, and then it just turned into watch this video where we talk about games that have already been released, and we'll show you a snippet, a moment of the fact that there are more Star Wars games on the way, specifically Battlefront 2 and some kind of new third-person action game that's coming from Respawn. It really wasn't announcements, for the most part. You know, originally when I was going to shoot this video, I was thinking I was going to do some kind of 5 list, like the best announcements, worst announcements, best and worst to come from EA, but there's not really enough information to do anything with because that was a whole hour of stuff we already knew with a handful of scraps that didn't give us any hard details about any of the games that I think a lot of people are actually excited about. We already know a new Madden's coming, we already know a new FIFA's coming. Sure, they're adding a story mode to it, that's cool, that's interesting, different, great for you guys. But for anything else that's not a yearly release, we basically got handed nothing. I mean, needless to say, it's pretty obvious I'm not a big fan of how this press conference went over, and I think unless other companies really screw up, this is easily going to be my least favorite press conference out of this year. I mean, there was just nothing. There was just nothing good. There wasn't a single new game announced, no new sequels. Given part of that is because they've already announced some games in advance. You know, we already knew about Titanfall 2, they've already teased Battlefield 1, but not a single new game that you save for this press conference, the main thing that a lot of people are waiting on. Not a new EA Sports game bringing back something people have wanted, like Skate 4 or a new SSX. No, nothing. Just let's talk about stuff we've already shown you, and then just do nothing for an hour until we wait for the actual gameplay for people to watch. It just, that was terrible.